Continue. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have Wendy Davis and Karen Hassett from the Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation. I'm going to turn it over to you, and I will continue to monitor our other tech things as we go.
Great. Thank you, Teresa. I'm Wendy Davis. I'm the Outreach Director for Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation. And Karen Hassett is our Director of Financial Education. Karen's going to be monitoring the chat if any of you have any questions during the presentation. And then she also has live links that she'll drop in, so you can easily click over to look at the information available on our website. At the very end of the presentation, there is a survey to be completed, and this is gathering information for the PADDC, who was the sponsor of our Smart Homes Made Simple project. So I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to share. Oh, I'm losing my cursor. There we go. Okay. So I want to start by saying that all the pictures that you're going to see in this presentation are actually clients of PATF. The individuals have given us permission to use their images and their stories in our for our presentations. So the first picture on the left is Penny. She has autism, and she uses a tablet for communication and other activities. The next slide over, the family came to us for assistance in purchasing an adapted vehicle. So they could take their daughter around with them with the rest of the family to different activities. The next little girl over, we are actually going to see her later in the presentation. She also uses a tablet for communication. And the next young man over, that family came to us for funding for a Riften activity chair. So that's a picture of him in his activity chair. And then the last photo is of a young man with a hearing aid. Interestingly, children in the state of Pennsylvania who have hearing loss do qualify for Pennsylvania medical access and can get their hearing aids through the state. And that is some of the information that we provide to people when they call us for help. However, we recently had a family that called us for hearing aids for their son who has auditory processing disorder. And the family was getting mixed messages on what was covered. And we were able to dig in and find out that that should also be covered, but they were getting conflicting information. So INA is a really big part of what we do for our families.
You're going to try and help me with this?
So PATF is a statewide nonprofit organization. We're based in King of Prussia, but we cover the entire state. The majority of the board and staff members are either individuals with disabilities or have immediate family members with a disability. For our family, my husband and I have 4 children. 2 of our children were born with moderate to profound hearing loss. And then my husband suffered sudden deafness, unilateral sudden deafness in his right ear, and now has an implant, a Baha. PATF has several certifications. We are a Community Development Financial Institution, or CDFI, which means that we are a consumer lender. We get funds from the U.S. Treasury. CDFIs are really, their emphasis is providing financial assistance to underserved communities, and our emphasis is on individuals with disabilities. Our second certification or classification is that we are Pennsylvania's alternative financing program for assistive technology. And that is a program that was authorized under the Federal Assistive Technology Act. Under that act, there were 3 programs that were authorized: PATF, the second one is TechAL, which was known previously as PIAT, and then the third one, Disability Rights Pennsylvania. Many people get confused between what TechAL does and what PATF does. So we came up with this little chart to sort of explain our roles and the differences in our roles. Basically, TechOwl helps in identifying assistive technology. They'll answer your questions. You can borrow equipment from their equipment lending library to test different assistive technology, figure out which is the better fit. I know with augmentative and alternative communication devices, there can be big differences, and some technology works better for one individual, but another might work better for another. So being able to test the equipment before committing is a very important part of the process of procuring that assistive technology. They also have a reuse program, so you can get gently used assistive technology that you can keep. They also have some special phones. For PATF, our emphasis is on funding. So once you've identified the assistive technology that you want, we help to find the funds to get that. We have financial loans. We also have information about funding sources, like for grants. We also provide financial education resources and coaching. We saw that there was a big need in the disability communities for financial education. So we've developed some curriculum to bridge that gap. Together, TechOwl and PATF help increase awareness and access to assistive technology. So PATF serves all of Pennsylvania, but all ages, all income levels, all disabilities and health conditions, all communities, and all cultural backgrounds. And I think that's really important. A lot of people don't realize that children qualify for help from PATF. Also, there's no income testing. Anybody can come to PATF for assistance. There's no situation where someone makes too much money or too little. So we were founded in 1998, and we've been quite busy over that time. Over 4,500 Pennsylvanians have received financial loans for assistive technology. We've extended over $44 million in loans for assistive technology. But another huge piece of what we do is simply information and assistance. And we've served over 12,000 Pennsylvanians with information and assistance about funding resources for assistive technology. So we really have three areas in which we work. As I mentioned, information assistance is huge. I always encourage people, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call us. We like to help people build their roadmap to getting their assistive technology. So if you're just starting out, if someone's just starting out, not sure where to look for help, they don't know what they should be able to get from insurance or what they should be able to get from OVR, just call us. We can help with that very first phone call to identify what are you entitled to through your different programs, through your waiver program or through school. The second piece, of course, is the financial loans. And then financial education is as important as the other pillars. I've been talking a lot about assistive technology. So I always like to make sure that we're all on the same page on what is assistive technology, because we do not have a definitive list of assistive technology. As a federal program, we use the federal definition of assistive technology. And that is any device or service that can help a person with a disability or an older person to do the things they want to do. And that's, to work, go to school, communicate, play, be active in their community, pursue their hobbies, pursue sports. Those things, anything that helps them to pursue those passions qualifies as assistive technology. I always like to use the example of a fence. People will be like, what? A fence is an assistive technology. Well, for a family with a child with autism, a fence can be assistive technology because it can provide a safe environment for that child. Some other unusual examples, software, special software, a voice assistant, or a smartwatch. Those are all assistive technology. And here we have some more pictures. Hearing aids actually is the #1 phone call that we get. This young woman is an artist in Philadelphia, and we helped her with getting a loan to get hearing aids. You may not know that there's very little coverage in insurance for the purchase of hearing aids. And hearing aids, a pair of hearing aids can easily total $3,000 to $7,000. So we frequently get calls to help with finding funding or to get a loan for hearing aids. This young man here, delightful young man, his mother loves to send us pictures. I think we helped them with an adapted vehicle. Next young lady over, we're going to see later in the presentation. She uses a smartwatch to help manage her day. So she knows when to catch the bus and when she's due at work. And then the last picture over, the young man was, he went through a financial, I think it was a job preparation program, and incorporated in that program was financial education. And they used our financial education program. So he's using special software that also helps him to manage his day. AT services also qualify for assistive technology. For example, if someone needs a walkway by their house fixed because it's not really accessible to a wheelchair, or if they need a ramp, maybe they need a home modification, they need a bathroom modified to make it wheelchair accessible. A lot of times projects like that require an evaluation, maybe a survey, there's a design issues, then there's the construction. All those things also qualify as AT, and we can help with funding of those things as well. Another big piece of assistive technology that we're trying to educate people about is smart home technology. And the Pennsylvania Developmental Disabilities Council gave us a 4-year grant to develop materials to educate people on how generic smart home technology can be assistive technology. So here are some examples of smart home technology as assistive technology. Set up a smart speaker to make a phone call in case of an emergency. I've actually set one up for my mom so she can call her sister. All she has to do is say a voice command, and the smart speaker can launch a phone call to her sister. A smartwatch for reminders of appointments or meetings. A smart speaker to check the weather to see if you need a jacket or an umbrella. Locking and unlocking the front door. That is a really big issue. I'm experiencing that myself with a lot of caretakers coming in our house, caring for an aging adult. And it's really nice to be able to have a smart lock with individual codes, so you don't need to leave your door unlocked all the time and compromise the security of your home. You can assign each caretaker their own code. And when that caretaker is no longer coming to your home, you simply disable that code. And this way you provide easy access to the home without compromising the security of the home. Smart thermostat, I really love this one, especially for older adults. If someone's helping to a senior age in place, or maybe you have a young adult with an intellectual disability that's living on their own, a caretaker can manage the thermostat remotely. We just went from very warm weather just a month ago. It was almost summer weather, but now it's cold. So has the thermostat been flipped over to heat from AC? And that's something that can be checked remotely through a smart thermostat. This next one really is one that really pertains to our family. Smart smoke detectors. They will actually send alerts to a cell phone. So our children would not hear a high-pitched smoke detector, and they definitely would sleep through one, but they are so attached to their cell phones. So alerts can be set to a cell phone, and that alert, they're accustomed to being alerted by the vibration. They would receive an alert through their cell phone. So even if they fell asleep on the couch, many times people use a bed shaker, which is no good if you fell asleep on the couch watching a movie. They would get the alert on their cell phone and therefore not miss that alert. And turning on off lights, how convenient is that, just to call out a voice command to turn on the kitchen light or turn on the hall light. These are all examples of how smart home technology can be assistive technology for people with disabilities. So our guide, Smart Homes Made Simple, your guide to smart home technology, is available in print and accessible PDF, so it is readable by screen readers. It's also available in Spanish. The guide includes a self-assessment tool, which is really important in helping to identify where smart home technology can help with everyday living, with your activities of daily living. And we're going to look at that at the next slide, what's on that self-assessment tool. Karen should be dropping a link to the download. If anybody wants to download the guide, it's available for free download from the website. And we have a companion website, smarthomesmadesimple.org, that has even more information than the guide, because it actually does also provide links to reviews of individual devices. So you can really compare and contrast what device might work best for you. And I know I did that a lot with the smoke detectors because there were so many things to take into consideration. This is the self-assessment tool, and you will see that it's really broken into functional areas. Communication and your daily activities. Are there any struggles with communication, like making phone calls, receiving phone calls, sending and receiving email? Also, another good area is the personal assistant, finding recipes, making to-do lists, or control the environment, turning on and off lights, adjusting a thermostat. So going through this self-assessment is really to help people consider where are they having the struggles and identifying which assistive technology can assist them in those different activities. And that is also available separately. It's in the guide, but it can also be separately downloaded from our websites. Now, here's an example of what we're talking about when we're like, if you say you're having problems controlling the front door, what kind of assistive technology would I consider in helping to address that? So you have a smart camera. That way you can actually look to see who's at your front door. Is it safe to let that person in? Same with this smart doorbell, and you can communicate with the person. Why are you here? And the display, smart speaker display, to show you who is there. And then there's also an automatic door opener, which is really handy. You can open that with a cell phone. Oh, and that's open any door in the house. And we have a video. I'm going to show a video later of a young lady that has automatic door openers in her home, and you can sort of see how that works. And then the smart locks. So this is George. He actually serves on the board of our Smart Home Advisory Board. He's an assistive technology assistant at assistive technology assistant at Easter Seals of Southeastern Pennsylvania, and has an associate degree in computer science. And he uses a lot of smart home technology in his apartment. He uses an alternative or augmentative and alternative communication device, and he has programmed that with voice commands to control different assistive technology in his apartment. And right here, you can see that was his old Accent device. This next slide, you can see he circled for us his voice command buttons for his smart home technology. His new Accent, the screen layout is a little bit different, but you can see under the living room banner, his buttons for the voice commands for smart home. So light on, light off, fan on, fan off, and then controlling his TV. What's really interesting is that a lot of the devices that George is controlling in his apartment with voice commands it's all being done through a smart plug, which is very inexpensive to purchase. A 2-pack is only $14.99 on Amazon. But it's amazing how that inexpensive item has such a huge impact in George being able to do things for himself. And we actually have a demonstration of George using his Alexa.
Alexa, Alexa, turn on the TV. Alexa, turn on the TV. Alexa, turn on the TV. Alexa, go to HMS. Ray Sinatra.
Here's something I found on Wikipedia. Commander is the naval officer name. Commander is.
That triggered my Alexa. So George loves Frank Sinatra. His father was a musician and always played Frank Sinatra. So George likes to listen to Frank Sinatra, and he's a huge Philadelphia sports fan. So he seems to always have one of the teams on his shirt that he's wearing whenever we meet. This young man, Kelvin, is also a past client of ours, and we love his story. He's talking about his smart device. It gives me more independence since I lost my vision. I use my Echo Dot to listen to podcasts and music, call my dad, check the time or what the weather is. And that Amazon Echo Dot is a very inexpensive device. I think last time I checked, it was only like $35. But not only that is it great for leisure, it's a very powerful device for security. Kelvin actually fell out of his wheelchair and he did not have an aide in the home at the time. And he was able to call out to his Dot and ask it to call his dad while he was laying on the floor. And the device called his dad's cell phone, and he was able to tell his dad that he needed assistance, that his aide had not shown up, and that he was stranded laying on the floor. So that was a really important, for his safety and security to have that set up. So once you've identified the assistive technology you want, many times one of the obstacles is obtaining money to pay for that assistive technology. So we developed a guide, Funding Your Assistive Technology, and it has over 65 funding sources available to people in Pennsylvania, and there's some that are national resources as well. It's available in print and accessible PDF. It's also available in Spanish, and you can download it from our website at the link listed here, patf.us/fundingyourat. And if anyone wants a copy of that, they simply call our office and we will send free of charge a copy of the guide. Oh, and also in Spanish, if I forgot to say that. So some examples of the funding resources that are listed in the guide. And by the way, that guide is checked about twice a year. We go and check that all that information is current and accurate. We check all the websites, the phone numbers. We talk to people to make sure that those are still valid resources for people to access. Achieve It Family Trust is an organization that we work with quite a bit. We refer a lot of people there, especially for adaptive vehicles. The Virginia del Sordo Last Resort Fund, Association of Blind Citizens AT Fund. As I said, this is just an example of the over 65 resources that we have listed in that guide. And when you call, if you call information assistance and say, look, I need such and such, our information and information specialists can start giving you exactly where we think you can start looking for help. So as I say, just pick up the phone and call us, and we'll start trying to build for you that roadmap to get the assistive technology that you want. As I mentioned, the other part of the equation that we have available to help people, if they need to spend any of their own money, if they don't want to bother applying for a grant, if they don't want to bother waiting for OVR to get the assistive technology they want, is completely up to them. This is all consumer driven. They can decide to they just want to purchase it. They need it yesterday and they just want to buy it now. They can come to us for help with the financial loan. The mini loan program is $100,000 to $7,000. A lot of requests for that are the hearing aids, stair lifts, smart home technology. The low interest loan program is for purchases for loans above $7,000. And that's for bigger ticket items like home modifications and adaptive vehicles. So for example, OVR will pay for modifications to a vehicle, but you still need to buy the chassis, and people can come to us for assistance or to get a loan to purchase the chassis to be modified. So the mini loan program, $100 to $7,000, 0% interest, 0 fees, maximum loan term of 4 years. So obviously a much better interest rate than a credit card, 0% interest, 0 fees. Credit card interest rates are double digit now. So we always say, don't put your assistive technology on a credit card, call us. Some examples, this young man here, the family wanted to improve the sidewalks around their home because it was not really accessible for him with his walker. And so they came to us for a loan to make improvements around their house. Bottom left, this gentleman is blind and needed special software. So he came to us for assistance to find funding for that. As I mentioned, the hearing aids, this is a really good friend of mine, Bob Schilling, who is pictured here. He actually works for PSD. And he came to us for a loan to purchase his hearing aids. Next picture over, this young man got a loan for us for installing some smart home technology. He lives independently. He has an intellectual disability, and he uses some devices for controlling his front door so he can monitor who is at his front door, and if he knows them, it's safe to let people in. And then the next one over had some hand controls added to her vehicle. As I mentioned, this is Macy, who was on our first slide. She's so adorable. And her mom wrote, with a child who is nonverbal, I didn't want to wait. The loan application was simple, and we received the check within a week to purchase the iPad. Unfortunately, Lindsay was struggling with the school to get the device. Sometimes it can be a lengthy process with different approvals, and they sometimes require testing different devices with a speech therapist before they will approve a device. And she knew what was going to work for her daughter and decided to just purchase it so that they didn't have to go through a 3 to 6 month process. Unfortunately, that's how long sometimes it takes to get the devices through some of the public schools. The low interest loan program, as I mentioned, is for over $7,000. And those loans we provide through banking partners. And we help with that loan rate. So we're able to keep the interest rate at 3.75% with 0 fees. If a loan does not need to be guaranteed, that loan can go up to $60,000. If, however, the bank feels that there's risk involved with granting the loan, PATF can guarantee that loan, but we only will guarantee up to $35,000. And then the term of the loan was based on the useful life of the device. And these are some examples pictured that cost over $7,000: adapted sports equipment, adaptive vehicles. The young man with the ramp, they wanted a more high-end ramp to fit the decor and appeal of the home. And then this woman on the bottom left has a special workstation so that she could continue working. One of the things we always want to make people aware of is the option to braid funding. You don't have to get all your funding from one source. And this is Alexa. She also serves on our Smart Home Advisory Council. She braided multiple funding sources in order to modify her new home. She has a home of her own. She lives independently with caretakers coming in and providing additional support. OVR paid for a ceiling mounted lift and the installation of an electric door opener on the front door. So that was covered by OVR. Her waiver paid for modifications to her floors, walls, and 3 other doors. So she has full access to her home. And then a grant from the Cumberland County Housing and Redevelopment Authority was used to install the universal remote control home automation system. I should point out that system they're no longer using, and they've gone straight smart home technology. And it's really fascinating because Alexa was the first one that discovered that she could do almost everything she wanted with smart home, generic smart home technology. And when she proposed it to her father said, that smart home technology stuff, that's just for playing games. That's not for really doing that kind of stuff that we need to do. And Alexa then demonstrated to her father how she could do everything that she needed to do using smart home technology. So they have migrated everything to generic smart home technology. And we do have a video of her home so we can see what she has in her house. Oop. So it's serendipity that that video is shot at Christmas time. So everyone's always fascinated by Alexa's blinds, that she's able to control them with her smartphone. And because she has a sidewalk in front of the house. So as evening comes, she likes to shut all the blinds so people aren't looking in on her and she's not in a fishbowl. And we always love all the colors in her house. It's a very bright and cheerful home. So for our home, we actually have an in-law suite. My parents moved in with us after my father suffered a traumatic brain injury. And we are using smart video cameras so that while I'm out for work or even at night, I can check on what's going on, make sure mom is okay. I can even check on her at night just to make sure she's not restless and not any issues with maybe trying to climb out of bed. So I see right here. You can get it there. The Nui camera, I have an app loaded on my phone so I can have a live video feed of what's going on in the in-law suite. And I can actually talk to her over the live video feed. That's a live video feed. So I can check in with her and see if she needs anything and everything is okay. So that's another great device for helping to provide remote support for individuals. If you want to check on them, make sure they're okay. So the last area is financial education for people with disabilities. We have a program that's been developed that addresses a lot of important areas for people to learn. Budgeting, saving, banking, credit, housing, how to save for a house of your own, employment. There's a transition age checklist and a chapter on the different options, pros and cons of the different adult decision-making choices. And it is geared toward people with disabilities. That's why in savings, we talk about PA-ABLE and what a useful tool that is for people to use. The program is Sense and Sensibility, a guide to money management. We just released a brand new 7th edition. It's available in print and accessible PDF, so it is readable by a screen reader. We also have available in Spanish. We've also, and Karen Hassett, who's on with us, did an excellent job updating our Educator Companion Manual to provide support for teachers who are teaching this curriculum. There are PowerPoint slides, there are recommendations for activities to make the material more engageable for students. And that guide is available. Both the Sense and Sensibility Guide and the Companion Manual are available for download. And if you would like a copy, you can contact us and we will send it free of charge. This is a picture of some of the activities, examples of activities that we have in it, the Sense and Sensibility. So you'll see it actually has activities. So it's like a workbook. So people can, students can actually practice what they're learning. It also keeps them better engaged in learning the material. And that is the same on the website. The companion website, studymoney.us, has online activities. So kids can go through this curriculum online as well and earn little certificates as they're going through. So they're getting rewards as they work their way through the program. The Educator Manual, as I mentioned, is a great support tool for teachers. It also provides great guidance to adapt material to a younger audience. So this material can span multiple ages and aligns with the Sense and Sensibility Guide and the studymoney.us. Karen's also very busy working on a new guide, which will be a family guide that will provide tips and activities for introducing financial concepts to children. So this will be a really powerful tool for children, for parents to begin introducing money management to their children. This is Alicia. She went through a job preparation program, and part of that program incorporated in the Sense and Sensibility program. And this quote is from her instructor, Caitlin. She said, "It is thrilling to hear about the changes my students have made in their everyday lives. For the first time ever, Alicia had money left over at the end of the month." So we're very happy that we've been able to help some young adults to become more independent, being able to manage their own financial affairs. This is our contact information. Our website is www.patf.us, and our phone number is listed here, 484-674-056. I'm sorry, 0506. And I invite, if you ever have any questions about anything, to reach out and contact us, and we'll answer your questions or point you in the right direction of who can answer your questions. Is there any questions that I should address? Karen, how did we do on questions?
You are, excuse me, we're good. If anybody wants, I think the crowd is small enough that if anybody should have a question, I think unmuting is probably the best option.
Great.
So when it comes to funding, is it always a loan, or so let's say for smart homes, or is there grants and stuff for families who need it?
Yes, there are grants. So we can refer people to different resources to apply for grants. In some situations, we can also provide grants from PATF, depending on financial need. So no, it's not always a financial loan.
And for all of these services, is it for every age?
Every age, yes. We had, I guess it was in the spring, we had a mother reach out to us to get an adapted tricycle for her daughter, her young daughter. And we get referrals from some of the IUs looking for things. There's a lot of things. We're always so focused with our children on school, on education. But there's a lot of other things. We want our kids to be able to go out and play with their friends, be active in the community, participate in sports if that's what they want to do. And if there's assistive technology that can help them to do that, call us. We will help find the money to do that. That's a really important part of, being a kid, is being able to go out and play. So those are the kinds of things that we can help with children.
Families have like multi-generational people, either with them or with disabilities. So something with the hearing aids, is that something that it could just be from aging and not due to a disability?
Oh, it doesn't matter what was the cause of the disability, right? Yeah. So, a lot of the hearing aids are for seniors that it's just from aging, or, could be from exposure, noise exposure from a job, anything like that. And usually for children, as I mentioned, some people are not aware of this, and it's always frustrating that they've fallen through the cracks. I've met people who have children that they didn't know they would qualify for Pennsylvania medical access. So we have gotten phone calls about hearing aids for children, and we always point them to, this is something that they are entitled to. Your child should apply for Pennsylvania medical access. But sometimes you have people that don't want to go through that process, and they just want to buy the technology, and that's fine. We are consumer driven. So for example, if someone qualifies for something for OBR, maybe they don't want to go through the hassle of applying to OBR, and that is fine. They can choose just to come to us to get the funding.
Okay.
And yeah, the turnaround time right now for hearing aids and OBR, and I just know this because family experience, has been up to 7 months. And that's too long. If someone's trying to work, that can be too long to wait.
And when you talk about services that are offered, so if somebody wanted a smart home assessment, would that be based on age? So if it's a school age child versus a senior?
Oh, no,
Like
anything. Yeah, there's no limitation like that. No. Yeah.
Is there more funding or grants for somebody in a school aged environment, as maybe insurance might pay, or is it, when it comes to smart homes, it's kind of out of pocket?
For most of these things, it's we have to look at the funding guide to see what the parameters are for the individual grants and funds. Like for Achieve a Family Trust, I mean, you can get grants and funding for them for many, many different things. That's not just assistive technology. I know that they help with clothing, home material, household goods, things like that. So for smart home, that's definitely a resource. But it's for a lot of those grants, it's a last resort. You have had to exhaust all other options before you come to them for assistance. So smart home technology, usually you're not spending that much for smart home technology to go through that kind of process to get the money. Smart speaker is really inexpensive, smart plugs, things like that. And we really recommend for people, if they want to explore how impactful smart home technology would be for them, to start small and build out.
Yeah, I think I was more talking about like the doors and possible, like the automatic doors and ramps and things that are a little larger.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely grants available. And I know that organizations like the Lions Club, a lot of times will do fundraising to help people to purchase things like that. So there's all kinds of different options, and that's what our information and assistance representatives are really good at, is identifying what are good sources of funding.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Wendy, thank you so much. I know we had Susan Tackow come and present at a spring evening education at HMS a few years ago, and it was spectacular on Sense and Sensibility. And we do have a copy at HMS. It's a very good publication.
Good. Well, there's
I had
a
a
new
couple
ones. We want to make sure you have the updated version.
I do not have the updated version.
Okay.
I have one from probably maybe 2018.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll take the updated version. Thank you.
We'll get that sent.
A couple questions. One was, if a family doesn't even know where to begin, they know that they want to look into things, but they don't even know where they want to start. Is there ever just an assessment of the entire situation and recommendations from PATF?
So we are less about identifying the assistive technology.
Okay.
Really, our focus is on funding assistive technology. But I always tell people to call us because, depending on what they're looking for, we can point them in the right direction. For example, TechAl, of course, is a great organization for identifying assistive technology.
Sure.
So
okay.
It might come to sort of, trying to break it into different areas to identify. So, getting if it's for a child, getting the child in and out of the home, what are we looking at? Well, what are, do you have problems with the widths of the doorways? Do we need to do any home modifications because of doorways, or are steps an issue? Do we need to look at ramps? Because there's different funding sources for things like that. Or we can start pointing out, well, this should be covered by OVR, or, this should be covered under the waiver program. So if they can come to us and sort of say, this is what we are looking at, where our struggles are, what we need, we can start identifying who can help cover that and what they are qualified to get, that kind of thing.
Great. Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. And my other question was, we have had different experiences with OVR. So some of our students have qualified from certain counties. Others of our students do not qualify for OVR, so don't even apply. Are you finding that OVR is really covering a lot of this funding? And are there, I would just like a little more guidance and education on your experiences with OVR, because we think of them for work readiness and employment with reimbursement. And so I was curious for more information regarding OVR funding assistive technology in the home. And is that to access work? Would one need to be able to hold down a job in order to get that funding?
Right. Yeah. So OVR is all about employment. So, and that was an example with Alexa. The certain devices that OVR covered was because that's what needed, that was blocking access for her to go to work. Alexa, off.
Got it. Thank you.
So like opening the front door, right? Or of course, a ramp to get from the door to the vehicle. Then also the vehicle is covered because she needs the vehicle to get to work. Interestingly, there was a gentleman, he got OVR covered a lot of things on the first floor of his home, but they would not cover the stair lift to the second floor because that wasn't required for work.
Got it.
So there are some, you know, quirky things with OVR, but I will say that we did a presentation for OVR recently. They really are trying to do better with covering assistive technology. They do have a lot of money that they need to spend. So if anyone is qualified under OVR, they have some money
Okay.
to spend.
So that's extremely helpful because when I think of OVR, I think of employment assistance. I do not associate then assistive technology, but that makes a lot of sense. And we will work with our OVR rep. We actually have OVR coming out to visit next week.
Oh,
They're
good.
touring HMS. And so we're going to pick their brains about things like, you know, what level of employment one would need to maintain in order to access such services. Thank
Right.
you.
Well, and even for school though, so our daughter is, her hearing aids are covered while she's in college. And that's through
Okay.
OVR. Pennsylvania Medical Access cuts off at 21, at least for the hearing aids. And so as soon as she turned 21, everything flipped to OVR. So she was getting a lot of support from OVR for like the hearing aids, an adapted stethoscope, because she can't hear the heartbeat to take blood pressure, things like that. So also for, you know, schooling, I guess job preparation kind of schooling, the OVR does provide assistance.
I really appreciate that, so that when we meet with them next week, we'll make note of it because we have many students who are 18 to 21 years old, and that might be a wonderful benefit.
Right, exactly, yeah, untapped resource.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure. Well, thank you very much, and we'll be sure to get all the materials sent to the school. And oh, and there's the survey. Karen, did you post the survey in the chat?
Where is that, Wendy? I'm sorry. Where is
The
that?
document that I sent you at the very bottom has the
Oh,
survey
okay.
link. And I'm also going to send that to Teresa. I think maybe she was going to send that to parents with the link, because the PADDC likes us to collect the survey data, which they use to collect a cumulative across all different programs and presentations to send to the federal government, and that helps with allocation of funds.
Okay.
So we want the money.
And Wendy, I'll email with you, so when we update the website, we can get links on there for PATF for people to access.
Perfect. That sounds great. Okay.
And
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to all of you.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.